A steady beeping sound pulled Evelyn Carter from the darkness. Her eyelids felt impossibly heavy, her mind foggy, as if she had been floating between dreams and reality for hours, maybe even days. She tried to move, but a dull ache spread through her limbs, keeping her still. The air smelled sterile, a mixture of disinfectant and something metallic. Where was she? A soft murmur of voices drifted through the haze, growing louder with each passing second. The beeping matched the rhythm of her heart, a machine echoing her existence, reminding her that she was alive. She forced her eyes open. The fluorescent hospital lights burned her vision, making her squint. The ceiling above was stark white, too clean, too unfamiliar. Panic coiled around her chest like a vice. Something was wrong. She turned her head slightly, her throat dry and scratchy. A man in a crisp suit stood by the door, speaking to a nurse. His gaze flickered to her the moment she stirred. He had sharp features, dark eyes that held a weight she couldn't decipher. He stepped forward, clearing his throat. "Miss Carter?" His voice was calm, but there was something careful about the way he spoke, like he was testing the waters. "Can you hear me?" Evelyn's lips parted, but her voice barely came out. "Yes." The nurse rushed to her side, adjusting the four in her arm. "You've been unconscious for nearly a week. You suffered a head injury, but the doctors say you're stable now." "A head injury?" She tried to remember. Nothing came. "Do you know what happened?" the man asked. Evelyn's pulse quickened. Her mind felt blank, as if someone had wiped her memories clean. The last thing she could recall was... Her stomach twisted. She couldn't recall anything. Not yesterday. Not last week. Not the last year. She lifted her gaze to the man, panic creeping into her voice. "Who are you?" He hesitated, then pulled out a badge. "Detective Rowan. I need to ask you some questions, Evelyn." "Detective?" Her heart pounded against her ribs. "You were found at a crime scene." His voice remained steady, but his next words sent a chill down her spine. "Covered in blood." Evelyn's breath caught. "What?" "The victim's name was Rachel Monroe. You were the only person there when the police arrived." The room tilted. The beeping of the monitor grew erratic. Evelyn's fingers gripped the hospital sheets, struggling to process what he was saying. I don't remember anything." Detective Rowan studied her carefully. "We were hoping you might." She swallowed hard. "You said a crime scene?" "Yes." He paused, then added, "And we have a suspect." The way he said it made her stomach churn. "Who?" Detective Rowan exhaled. "Your fiancé." Evelyn's blood ran cold. Fiancé? She was engaged? To someone accused of murder? The door creaked open before she could respond. A man entered. Tall, broad-shouldered, with sharp cheekbones and dark hair that framed his chiseled face. His stormy gray eyes locked onto hers, filled with concern. Yet something about him made her shudder. "Evelyn," he breathed, his voice filled with relief. She stared at him, her heart hammering. He stepped closer, reaching for her hand. "It's me, Nicholas. Thank God you're awake." Her fingers trembled. The moment his skin touched hers, a sharp, visceral feeling surged through her. Fear. She didn't know if she loved him, or if she had spent the last year running from him. Evelyn's body stiffened as Nicholas's fingers brushed against her hand. His touch was warm, gentle even, but something inside her recoiled. It wasn't just discomfort. It was instinct. A warning buried deep in the part of her mind that still held secrets. She pulled her hand away. His expression flickered with something unreadable before he smiled, softening his sharp features. "It's okay," he murmured. "I know this is overwhelming." Overwhelming? That didn't begin to cover it. She searched his face, willing herself to remember. Anything. A moment, a feeling, a whisper of who he was to her. But there was nothing. Just the name Nicholas Hayes, and a void where her memory should have been. Her throat was raw. "They said you're my fiancé." Nicholas nodded, as if that simple confirmation should put her at ease. "We were going to be married next month." Her stomach twisted. Next month? She was supposed to marry a man she couldn't even remember? "I don't." Evelyn inhaled sharply. I don't remember you. Nicholas's jaw tensed, but he recovered quickly, squeezing her hand again. The doctors said memory loss might happen after a traumatic injury. It'll come back with time. She wanted to believe him, but when she looked at him, all she felt was unease. Detective Rowan cleared his throat, reminding them he was still there. His eyes hadn't left Nicholas since the moment he walked in. Mr. Hayes, I need to speak with Miss Carter privately. Nicholas's posture stiffened, but he kept his voice smooth. She just woke up. She doesn't need to be interrogated right now. It's not an interrogation, Rowan replied evenly. It's an investigation. Nicholas's gaze darkened, but after a beat, he exhaled and forced another smile at Evelyn. I'll be right outside, okay? She nodded hesitantly. The moment the door shut behind him, Rowan turned back to her. His careful, polite demeanor from before hardened into something more direct. Do you remember anything about the night Rachel Monroe was killed? Evelyn shook her head. I don't even remember her name. Rowan studied her for a long moment, as if trying to decide whether to believe her. Then he sighed. Rachel was your friend. Evelyn's pulse spiked. She was found dead in an alley 2 blocks from your apartment. Stabbed multiple times. When we got there, you were covered in her blood. Her stomach churned. And I don't remember any of this? No, Rowan leaned forward slightly. But I think you did before your injury. Her breath hitched. What do you mean? He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small evidence bag. Inside was a crumpled piece of paper. He held it up. This was found in your apartment. She took it with trembling fingers and smoothed it out. The handwriting was hers. She could tell by the slightly messy loops. The message was short. If something happens to me, it was Nicholas. A shiver ran down her spine. She looked up at Rowan, her voice barely above a whisper. I wrote this. He nodded grimly. A cold dread settled in her chest. Had she been afraid of the man she was supposed to marry? Had she been running from him all along? Evelyn's fingers tightened around the note, the edges crumpling beneath her grip. The words stared back at her, sharp and unforgiving. If something happens to me, it was Nicholas. She swallowed hard, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. I don't understand, she whispered. If I wrote this, then why was I still with him? Detective Rowan leaned forward, his sharp gaze never leaving her. That's what I want to know too. Evelyn forced herself to think, to push past the fog in her head. Her memories were locked away, but the emotions? They lingered, hidden beneath the surface. The unease when Nicholas touched her. The fear clawing at her chest even now. Had she been trapped? Had she known something terrible was coming but couldn't escape? Rowan's voice softened slightly. Evelyn, listen to me. I need to know if you're in danger. She exhaled shakily, staring at the note again. If she had written this, then the answer was obvious. Yes. Her voice trembled. I think I am. Rowan nodded as if he had expected this. Then I need you to be honest with me. Do you trust Nicholas? She hesitated. She didn't remember him, not really. But her own warning was screaming at her. No, she admitted. I don't. Rowan's expression darkened. Then you can't let him know that. A chill ran down her spine. What do you mean? Rowan lowered his voice. Nicholas has resources. Power. He knew exactly what to say to the media when this story broke. He played the grieving fiancé, desperate to help you recover. But there are gaps in his story, Evelyn. Her breath hitched. Like what? He hesitated before answering. Like how he had an alibi that night, but no one actually saw him. Like how you were found in that alley, covered in blood, but there's no record of you calling 911. Evelyn's stomach twisted. You think he did it? Rowan held her gaze. I think you did too. Her blood ran cold. You just don't remember yet. The room suddenly felt smaller, the walls closing in. The weight of the unknown pressed against her chest. Had she seen something that night? Had she confronted Nicholas? Had she fought back? A knock at the door made her jump. Rowan immediately slid the note back into his pocket and straightened. The carefully blank mask was back on his face, his tone even. Come in. The door opened, and Nicholas stepped inside. His gray eyes flicked between them before landing on her. How are you feeling? He asked gently. Evelyn forced a smile. Better. She saw Rowan's approving nod out of the corner of her eye. Nicholas sat on the edge of her bed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I was so worried about you, Evie. Evie. The nickname felt foreign, wrong. I'm just glad you're okay, he continued. The doctors said you might not remember much, but I'll help you, okay? I'll remind you of everything. A shiver crawled down her spine. Because something told her he wasn't talking about just their relationship. He was talking about the truth. Or the version of it he wanted her to believe. She forced another smile, her pulse hammering. Okay. Rowan stood abruptly. I'll be in touch, Miss Carter. His eyes lingered on her for a beat longer before he turned to Nicholas. Mr. Hayes. Nicholas gave a polite nod, but Evelyn could feel the tension in the air as Rowan left. Once they were alone, Nicholas sighed and took her hand again. I'm taking you home tomorrow, he murmured. Everything will be okay once you're back where you belong. Her stomach twisted. Back where she belonged. But where was that? With him? Or running from him? Evelyn stood in front of the full-length mirror, staring at the woman reflected back at her. She was a stranger. The pale hospital gown was gone, replaced by a soft sweater and jeans that Nicholas had brought for her. The clothes fit her perfectly. Too perfectly. As if he knew her body, her preferences, her life, everything about her. But the only thing she knew about him was the uneasy feeling curling in her stomach. She traced her fingers along her collarbone, where faint bruises were beginning to fade. Had she fallen? Had someone grabbed her? Had he grabbed her? Evie. Nicholas's voice drifted from the doorway. She turned to find him watching her with an unreadable expression. It's time to go home. Home. The word should have brought her comfort, but instead, it felt like a trap snapping shut around her. She followed him out of the hospital, the cold air biting against her skin. The black car parked outside was sleek, expensive, just like the man holding the door open for her. Nicholas. Her fiancé. Her suspected murderer. Evelyn slid inside, her pulse racing as he got in next to her. The drive was quiet, the tension thick. She forced herself to act normal, to pretend she wasn't questioning everything. You're quiet, Nicholas said after a while. His voice was smooth, coaxing. She forced a small smile, just trying to process everything. His hand found hers, squeezing gently. I know this is overwhelming, but don't worry. I'll remind you of everything. That same phrase again. She swallowed hard. The city blurred past them until they reached a towering building. A doorman greeted them with a nod as Nicholas led her inside. Her breath caught when they entered the penthouse. It was luxurious, marble floors, high ceilings, floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the skyline. Everything was meticulously placed, too perfect, too controlled. Nicholas stepped behind her, his breath warm against her neck. Welcome home. She stiffened, nodding slowly. It's beautiful. You used to love it. She forced another smile. I'm sure I did. His hand skimmed down her arm before he stepped away. I'll let you rest. Your room is just down the hall. Your room, not our room. That struck her as odd. But she nodded and turned toward the hallway. As she passed by the walls, she noticed the framed pictures. She and Nicholas at a party. She and Nicholas on a beach. She and Nicholas at what looked like an engagement dinner. They looked happy. She looked happy. So, why did it feel like an illusion? Her fingers brushed against the frame of one of the photos. And then she noticed it. A tiny scratch on the glass, right over her face. A sense of unease crept up her spine. Had the frame fallen? Had someone thrown it? Had she? A quiet exhale left her lips. She had no answers. Just more questions. Steeling herself, she walked into her bedroom and shut the door. But the moment she turned around, she froze. There was a lock on the outside of the door. Her stomach dropped. This wasn't a home. It was a cage. And she was trapped inside. Evelyn's pulse pounded in her ears as she stared at the lock on the outside of the door. It could be normal, right?
Some doors just had locks like that.
It didn't mean anything. Except it did. She forced herself to breathe, turning away as if she hadn't noticed. If Nicholas had put that lock there, she couldn't let him know it bothered her. Not yet. Moving carefully, she took in the rest of the room. It was beautiful, just like the rest of the penthouse. Soft gray walls, a bed that looked too perfect to have been slept in, a walk-in closet filled with expensive clothes. Clothes her size. A life built for her. But had she built it for herself? Or had Nicholas built it for her? She ran her fingers along the vanity table, where perfumes and jewelry sat neatly arranged. And then she saw it. A small notebook. Heart pounding, she picked it up and flipped through the pages. The handwriting was hers, messy, rushed. April 15th. Nicholas is acting strange again. Watching me too closely. April 28th. I tried to tell Rachel, but she said I was overthinking. Am I? May 6th. I found my phone hidden in his office. Why would he take it? May 15th. I need to leave.
But how?
Evelyn's hands shook as she turned the page. The last entry was hastily scribbled, the ink smudged. May 20th, he knows. She clapped a hand over her mouth, stifling a gasp. What had Nicholas known? That she was trying to leave? That she suspected something? Her body trembled as she realized the date of the last entry. The night Rachel was murdered. A knock on the door made her jump. She shoved the notebook back into its place just as the door opened. Nicholas stood there, watching her with a small smile. I thought you might be hungry. He stepped inside, setting a tray of food on the bedside table. The scent of freshly cooked pasta filled the room, but Evelyn's stomach twisted at the thought of eating. He tilted his head. You okay? She forced a shaky smile.
Yeah.
Just tired. He studied her for a moment, his gaze sharp. Then his smile widened. You always push yourself too hard. She nodded, her hands clenched in her lap. Nicholas moved closer, kneeling beside the bed. His fingers traced over her wrist, slow, deliberate. You don't have to be afraid of me, Evie, he murmured. Her breath caught. Was he saying that because he saw her fear? Or because she should be afraid? She swallowed hard, forcing herself to relax under his touch. I know. His eyes searched hers, as if trying to read her mind. But after a moment, he kissed her knuckles and stood. I'll let you rest. He left, shutting the door softly behind him. The moment he was gone, Evelyn let out a shaky breath and looked at the notebook again. There was no doubt anymore. She had been trying to escape Nicholas, and she hadn't succeeded. Evelyn waited until Nicholas's footsteps faded down the hall before she moved. Her fingers trembled as she flipped back to the last page of the notebook. May 20th, he knows. He knew what? That she had wanted to leave? That she had been looking for something? That she had been the only witness to Rachel's murder? A wave of nausea rolled through her. She needed to get out of here. She needed answers. Carefully, she slid out of bed and tiptoed toward the door. Her heart pounded as she tested the handle. It wasn't locked. Not yet. She opened it just a sliver, peering out into the dimly lit hallway. Silence. Good. Steeling herself, she stepped out. The penthouse was eerily quiet, the city lights casting long shadows across the walls. Her bare feet made no sound as she moved past the living room, past the sleek glass dining table where 2 empty wine glasses sat. Had they been used recently? Had she been drinking with Nicholas before the accident? She reached his office door. It was slightly ajar. Swallowing her fear, she pushed it open. The office was just as pristine as the rest of the penthouse. Dark mahogany shelves lined the walls, filled with books and expensive decor. A large desk sat near the window, neat and organized, too perfect, as if someone had wiped it clean. Evelyn's hands were damp with sweat as she moved toward it. Her gaze landed on the top drawer. She pulled it open, expecting pens, papers, something ordinary. Instead, her blood ran cold. Inside was a phone. Her phone. She snatched it up, her breath catching when she saw the screen. It was shattered, the edges cracked, but it powered on. Locked. Her fingers hovered over the passcode. What would she have used? Her birthday? Nicholas's? She tried one. Incorrect. Another. Incorrect. Panic clawed at her chest. She only had one more attempt before it locked her out. She took a deep breath, staring at the last number she had tried. And then, instinctively, she entered Rachel's birthday. The screen unlocked. Her vision blurred for a moment. She had used Rachel's birthday.
Why?
Her fingers moved quickly, scrolling through messages, notes, anything that could tell her what had happened that night. And then she found it. A voice memo. May 20 to 11:42 p.m. Her hands trembled as she pressed play. At first, there was static. Then, her own voice, frantic, hushed. He's lying. I know it now. Evelyn's breath hitched. I found. A loud noise interrupted. Something crashing. Footsteps. Then, a man's voice. Low, cold. Evelyn. Her heart stopped. Nicholas. The audio cut off. Evelyn felt like she was going to be sick. The last thing she had recorded was him, coming for her, and she had no idea what happened next. A floorboard creaked outside. Her stomach clenched. She barely had time to shove the phone into her pocket before the door clicked shut behind her.
She turned.
Nicholas stood there, watching her. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes, held something dangerous. Couldn't sleep, he asked, his voice smooth. Evelyn's throat went dry. He had locked the door. She was trapped. Again. Evelyn's fingers curled into the fabric of her sweater, trying to steady her racing heart. Nicholas took a step closer. The dim office light cast long shadows across his sharp features, making him look even more unreadable. Couldn't sleep, he repeated, his voice smooth, controlled. Evelyn forced a smile, hiding the tremor in her hands. I woke up thirsty. I was just looking for water. His gaze flickered to the desk, to the slightly open drawer. Her stomach twisted into knots. Nicholas smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. You should have called for me. I would have gotten it for you. Every nerve in her body screamed that she was being watched, measured, tested. She couldn't let him see the fear in her. I didn't want to wake you, she said lightly, stepping away from the desk. She needed to get out.
Now.
Nicholas chuckled, the sound low. You never worried about waking me before. Before she lost her memory. Before she realized something was wrong. He moved toward her, slow, deliberate. Are you remembering things, Evie? Evelyn forced herself to hold his gaze. If she lied too much, he'd catch on. If she admitted the truth, she wouldn't get out of this room. A little, she said carefully. Flashes. Nothing concrete. His smile grew. That's good. That's really good. Then, his hand reached out and gently cupped her cheek. She froze. The warmth of his skin should have been reassuring. It should have felt familiar. But it didn't. It felt like a leash tightening around her throat. You must be exhausted, he murmured, thumb brushing her skin. Let me take you back to bed. Evelyn's pulse pounded. She needed to act normal. She needed to get out of here. She swallowed and nodded.
Yeah.
That's probably a good idea. Nicholas's hand lingered for a second before he finally pulled away. Come on, love. She followed him out of the office, every muscle in her body coiled tight. When they reached her bedroom, he opened the door for her. She stepped inside, careful not to show how fast she wanted to slam it shut. Nicholas leaned against the frame, watching her. I missed you, he murmured. Evelyn's breath hitched. She forced herself to smile. I missed you too. The lie burned her throat. Nicholas's eyes darkened, like he knew, like he was waiting for her to slip up. Then, after a long moment, he chuckled softly. Get some rest, Evie. The door clicked shut behind him. The lock turned. Her breath left her in a shaky exhale. Locked in. Again. Her hands clenched into fists as she pulled out her phone. The screen glowed in the darkness, the audio file still there. She pressed play again, listening. He's lying. I know it now. I found. Static. Then Nicholas's voice. Evelyn. She clenched her jaw, pressing the phone against her chest. She had no memory, no proof of what he had done. But one thing was clear. She was never meant to wake up. And if she wasn't careful, she wouldn't wake up again. Evelyn sat in the dark, gripping her phone like a lifeline. Her pulse pounded in her ears as she replayed the voice memo. He's lying. I know it now. I found.
Crash.
Footsteps. Then Nicholas's voice. Evelyn. She shut off the recording, chest heaving. Something had happened that night. She had discovered something about Nicholas. And now he was keeping her here, locked away. Her hands trembled as she checked the time. 3:12 a.m. She had to get out. Taking a deep breath, she tiptoed to the door. The handle didn't budge.
Locked.
Her heart sank, but she had expected this. Her gaze darted around the room, searching for anything, any way out. The window?
No.
The penthouse was too high. If she tried to climb, she'd be dead before she even had a chance to run. Then, her eyes landed on the vanity mirror. Slowly, she walked over, running her hands along the edge. And then there, a hairpin. Hope flared in her chest as she grabbed it. She knelt by the door, working quickly, shoving the pin into the lock.
Click.
She froze. Did she hear footsteps? She pressed her ear to the door, holding her breath. Silence. She continued. A few more twists, then click. The lock gave way. Biting her lip, she turned the handle slowly, careful not to make a sound. The hallway was dark. Still. She moved fast, stepping lightly as she headed toward the elevator. If she could just make it downstairs, just get to the lobby. A voice stopped her cold. You're up late. Evelyn's blood ran cold. Nicholas stood near the kitchen, watching her. Even in the dim lighting, his blue eyes gleamed. Her breath caught in her throat. She had two options. Lie or run. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to stay calm. I couldn't sleep. Nicholas tilted his head, stepping closer. So, you thought you'd take a midnight stroll? Her nails dug into her palm. I needed air. For a second, he just watched her. Then, his lips curved into a slow, almost amused smile. You always were restless. He took another step forward, and she instinctively stepped back. He noticed. His smile faltered for half a second, but then he sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. Evelyn, I know this is hard for you. Losing your memory. Waking up to all this uncertainty. She forced herself to nod. He gave her a long look. Come back to bed. Her heart pounded. If she refused, would he force her? If she ran, would she make it to the door before he caught her? Nicholas must have sensed her hesitation because he suddenly laughed. Evelyn. His voice was softer now, coaxing. Dangerous. Why are you scared of me? Her stomach clenched. She had no memory, no proof, but something inside her knew. She should be terrified. I'm not, she whispered. Nicholas's smile returned. He knew she was lying, and she knew he wouldn't let her leave so easily. Evelyn forced herself to hold Nicholas's gaze, even as every instinct screamed at her to run. She couldn't. Not yet. Not without knowing the full truth. Nicholas watched her carefully, as if reading every flicker of emotion on her face. Then, he sighed and ran a hand through his hair. I know this is overwhelming for you, he murmured. You don't remember much, and now you're afraid of me. She swallowed, her throat dry. I'm not afraid of you. Another lie. Nicholas's lips curved, just slightly. Then why were you trying to leave? Her fingers clenched at her sides. I wasn't. She kept her voice steady. I wanted air. I thought going outside might help. He stepped closer, slow and deliberate, like a predator closing in. Evelyn forced herself to stay still, to not flinch. Then, to her surprise, he exhaled sharply and looked away. I don't want to do this anymore, he muttered. Her breath hitched. Do what? Nicholas let out a bitter laugh. This dance. You don't trust me. And, honestly, he looked back at her, eyes dark. I don't blame you. Evelyn's stomach twisted. Was this a trap? Or the truth? I should have told you everything sooner, Nicholas said. But I thought it would be easier if you remembered on your own. Her nails dug into her palm. Remember what? Nicholas hesitated. Rachel's murder. A chill crawled down her spine. What do you mean? She whispered. He sighed. You were there that night, Evelyn. You saw everything. She already knew that much. The police had told her. But hearing it from him sent an uneasy wave through her. Nicholas took another step closer, his voice lower now. You called me that night. You were terrified. Her breath stilled. You told me you found something, but before you could say more, you screamed. His jaw tensed. By the time I got there, Rachel was already gone and you were unconscious. Evelyn's hands shook. That voice memo. He's lying. I know it now. Had she been talking about Nicholas? Or someone else? She swallowed hard. You found me? Nicholas nodded. I brought you to the hospital. I stayed by your side every day. Her heart pounded. Then why didn't you tell me all this before? He hesitated. Because I needed to know what you remembered. The police think I had something to do with Rachel's death, and I needed to be sure you wouldn't say something that. He stopped himself, jaw tightening. Evelyn's blood ran cold. Something that would what? His expression darkened. That would put us both in danger. A shiver ran through her. Something wasn't adding up. Her fingers brushed against her pocket, the phone with the voice memo still there. Nicholas was hiding something, and if she didn't find out what it was soon, she might never get the chance. Evelyn's pulse pounded as she stared at Nicholas. His words echoed in her mind. That would put us both in danger. She had spent weeks questioning everything, who she had been, what she had seen, whether Nicholas was a monster or the man she had once loved. Now, standing before him, she knew only one thing for certain. She had to remember.
Now.
Her fingers tightened around the phone in her pocket. The voice memo, the only clue she had, felt like a burning secret against her skin. He's lying. I know it now. I found the missing piece. She took a shaky breath. Nicholas, what did I find that night? His expression flickered. I don't know. Another lie. Something inside her snapped. I need to hear it, she whispered. The truth. Everything. Nicholas studied her for a long moment. Then, with a slow breath, he said, You found Rachel's journal. Evelyn's breath hitched. Her journal? Nicholas gave a short nod. She wrote about someone stalking her, watching her every move. She was scared, Evelyn. She thought someone close to her wanted her dead. Her skin prickled.
Who?
Nicholas hesitated. His gaze darkened. I don't know. But Evelyn did. Because suddenly it all came back. The night of the murder. The way Rachel had called her in a panic, telling her to come quickly. How Evelyn had found the journal under Rachel's bed, flipping through pages of fear and paranoia. And then, the door bursting open. A shadow looming over her. A sharp, whispered voice. You shouldn't have come here. Evelyn's body froze. She knew that voice. It wasn't Nicholas. It was Detective Harlow. Her blood turned to ice. The detective assigned to Rachel's case. The same man who had questioned her, who had told her Nicholas was the only suspect. It had been him all along. Evelyn stumbled back, gasping for air. Nicholas stepped forward, eyes widening. Evelyn. She looked at him, everything shifting. It wasn't you. Nicholas's brow furrowed.
What?
Her breath came fast and shallow. Rachel's journal. The stalker. She was talking about Harlow. Nicholas's face darkened. Are you sure? A sound echoed through the penthouse. A click. A gun being cocked. Evelyn turned slowly, dread twisting in her gut. Detective Harlow stood in the doorway. Gun raised. Expression cold. So, he said, voice calm. Too calm. You finally remembered. The room was suffocating. Nicholas tensed beside her. Harlow. The detective sighed, stepping inside. I liked you better when you didn't know anything, Evelyn. His gaze flicked to Nicholas. And you were supposed to take the fall. Nicholas's jaw clenched. That was your plan? Harlow smirked. Oh, come on. You were the perfect suspect. Rich fiancé, a history of control issues, and the only one near Rachel when she died. He shrugged. If Evelyn had just stayed unconscious, this would have been a closed case. Evelyn's hands shook, but she forced herself to stay still.
Think.
Nicholas's voice was low, edged with fury. And now what? You kill both of us. Harlow tilted his head. It's a shame, really. I didn't want to do this. His finger tightened on the trigger.
Now.
Evelyn moved. She lunged for the nearest object, a glass vase on the table, and threw it. The vase shattered against Harlow's arm, making him stagger. Nicholas reacted instantly. He tackled Harlow, slamming him against the wall. The gun went off.
Bang.
Evelyn flinched, her ears ringing. Then silence. Her chest heaved as she looked up. Nicholas stood over Harlow, the gun now clutched in his own hands. Harlow groaned, pinned beneath him, blood seeping from a wound in his shoulder. The fight was over. Sirens wailed in the distance. Nicholas exhaled, his body taut with adrenaline. Then he turned to Evelyn, his blue eyes locking onto hers. For the first time in weeks, she felt safe. Tears blurred her vision as she whispered, "I remember everything." Nicholas's expression softened. "I never hurt you, Evelyn. I never would." She nodded, because now she knew. She had loved him once. And she still did. As the police stormed into the penthouse, as Harlow was finally dragged away in cuffs, Evelyn reached for Nicholas's hand. And for the first time since waking up in that hospital bed, she wasn't afraid.